So my name is Dr. Kubik, Dr. Joanna Kubik, and I'm a professor. I'm an assistant professor in the sociology and criminology department.
And I am Dr. Sarah Trocchio, also an assistant professor in sociology and criminology. So we're really excited. I think I wanted to ground this discussion in saying that this is a particularly focused study abroad program that's really interested in social movements and social change. And I think that we're at a particularly relevant moment in history, given all that's happening in America and around the world, to sort of engage in these topics and also get an international perspective on what these issues look like and what they mean. So I just kind of wanted to start us off with that. And Dr. Kubik is actually Polish. So I wanted to give her a little bit of an opportunity to share before I dive in any more than that, because she truly is an expert in many ways.
Thank you, Sarah, for that. So yes, I'm Polish. I speak Polish. I was actually born in Poland, and I came to the U.S. when I was a very little girl. And this has always been one of my. I've always traveled to Poland very many times. I always wanted to do a study abroad course in Poland. So this is, I guess, in many ways, my dream come true. One of many dreams. And so we're very excited about this program. Both Dr. Trocchio and I are new professors in sociology and criminology. So we sort of put this together around sociology, around social movements, because that is our interest. But also, Poland is just such an amazing and fascinating place that it was easy to position it around the cities that we're going to visit. So we're going to visit Kraków, which is Krakow, Warsaw, which is the capital, Warszawa, and we're going to visit Gdańsk, which is on the north coast by the Baltic Sea. So those are primarily the three cities that we're going to visit throughout our throughout the study abroad experience. And I don't know if U.S. students, if you were given any more information about it, but I do have the itinerary open in front of me if any of you want to know more specific questions about what we will be visiting. But some of the things include in Warsaw, there's the Royal Castle. There's also the Warsaw Uprising Museum, which we'll be talking about after World War II, or during World War II. There was the Warsaw Uprising, and we're going to incorporate that into, and when we discuss social movements around the aftermath and during World War II. Then we're going to be visiting Gdańsk. Gdańsk is very important because it is the center of the Solidarity movement. So I don't know how much you all know about the history of Poland and European history, but at the end, in the 1980s, during the fall of communism in 1989, Poland was one of the first countries to escape Soviet control, escape Soviet rule. And part of what they were doing is they wanted solidarity. They wanted to be their own country again and not be under the Iron Curtain. And so Lech Wałęsa, one of our presidents the president at that time, was a big proponent of the solidarity movement, and he's from Gdańsk, and everything that took place happened in Gdańsk. So Gdańsk is always known as the city of solidarity, and sort of the epicenter of where solidarity happened. So when we're in Gdańsk, we will be visiting the Solidarity Museum, and which is just a very, very cool and fascinating museum. I've been there, but many years ago. And then we're going to head to Krakow, which is Krakow is one of, I'd like to say, probably the most exciting. Gdańsk is really exciting, but Krakow, if any of you have been to Krakow kind of reminds me of Boston, because it's very young, it's very progressive, but it's also quite historical in many ways. And so there we'll be visiting, we'll tour the city like we'll do in all the cities. But we'll also be visiting Auschwitz, which is the concentration camp during World War II. And then we'll end the trip by visiting the Wieliczka salt mine, which is a little bit outside of Krakow, which is just this incredible old salt mine, and that is more of a fun cultural excursion. And that sort of that's sort of the whole program and the main cities that we'll be visiting and the main sites that we'll be going to. But beyond that, our social movement component that we've incorporated into this itinerary, into this curriculum, is that I forget which two cities. I think it's Warsaw and Krakow. Will be doing. We'll be working. We'll be doing some sort of service learning component. So we'll be working. I think for one of them it's half day, and we'll be doing some sort of presentation. But for the other city, it's going to be a full day service learning where we're going to be working with some sort of nonprofit organization, something focused around social movements. We haven't yet decided that because we're going to be confirming that within the next semester. I guess right before the spring semester, of what the service learning project will be. But we really, that is one of the reasons that we really like the program, because we'll be working hopefully with some sort of nonprofit organization that will focus on advocacy on a current issue that's important in Poland.
Part of what we're really interested in is there's a lot of flexibility with designing some service learning components that are interesting to the cohort that we end up assembling. So we have a lot of discretion, which is really exciting. So it's not like they just pick a place for us. And there are possibilities that people can go off and do different things depending on how many folks we end up having and what the interest is. And we definitely talking about some policy advocacy organizations that are centered on LGBTQ plus stuff. So that might interest you too, Kayla. And we really want to make that service learning component a place where there are young people working on important issues of the day in Poland. I've done stuff like that before when studying abroad. I studied abroad for a whole semester in Spain. And it's just a great way to like make friendships, and then we might be able to go out and have dinner and beers after. And we really want to foster and facilitate sort of cross-cultural dialogue and friendship too, because I think that's a really important part of that. And we're also pretty young, and we like to, have fun and enjoy it. That's part of what this is all about, right? Is about sort of stepping outside of your comfort zone, meeting new people, and enjoying good food. Joe, before we go to Joseph, can you tell me what's behind me? I put up a Polish background. There's a specific kind of food that you're particularly excited about.
Oh, zapiekanki. Oh, I was like, wait, what are you trying to zapiekanki. So I forgot to mention that when we go to, I guess I was getting all talking about the itinerary, not talking about all the really cool fun stuff we're going to do. But in general, Poland is really, really fun. And so just going abroad itself is a learning experience, but not even including anything that I go over in the itinerary or any of the museums that we visit. Just that whole experience you'll learn so much from. But anyways, we're going to be eating a lot of zapiekanki, especially in Kraków. Zapiekanki. So it's basically like bread.
Bread plus
a slice of bread, and it's sort of it. And then they put cheese on it, and then you could put any topping you want. You could put peppers and mushrooms and ketchup and mustard and pickles and anything that you want on it. And it's basically just like, and I hate to say it's like a pizza because it's not really a pizza. It has nothing on the zapiekanka, but it's just so really good. What's really cool is that a lot of young, hip students, because Kraków has a really, really big young nightlife, they buy zapiek, and you buy them you buy them outside, right? So you walk up to a window and there's like a bunch of windows and you could just buy one, and they only cost like $2. It's so much food, and you could buy them at all hours of the day and all hours of the night. So it's usually one of the foods that a lot of students love to binge eat after going out and partying.
One story at a time.
I'm like, oh, this is recorded. How am I supposed to frame this?
Just binging on the carbs, nothing else.
Binging on the carbs. But I've had zapiekanki in the morning, like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner because they are so good. Another really, really good thing in Poland, and you'll never eat as good of this as any other place. I can't even speak because I'm so excited. It's ice cream. So we call it ice cream lody, and there's all these little ice cream shops and stands all over Poland, all over everywhere. And what you'll find that, especially, so we're going in May, right? So you'll find that they'll all be open. Everybody eats lody in Poland, literally, from the grandmas to the kids. Everywhere you go, you'll just see people eating ice cream all the time. And that's what I've actually gone to Poland with students when I was when I finished my undergraduate. I lived in Poland for 2 years, and I did and I had students come in. It was a service learning experience where they they were teachers. They were practicing to be teachers, and they did a summer program in Poland. And so it was a cohort of Americans who came to Poland, and they just found it so fascinating. They're like, why does everybody eat ice cream here? Literally everybody eats ice cream all the time. I'm like, and it was something that's part of the Polish culture, that if you're Polish, you just don't even but you'll see a lot of people love to eat ice cream. So those are the two foods that I'm sure you'll be binge eating when you're in Poland.
What we're hoping to do is have whatever output that's required for students be really individualized and geared toward what you are most interested in. So we're kind of hoping to extend a more flexible, like project-oriented kind of assignment structure to be associated with the credits. Just to share a little bit about myself. So my mom is actually an Arabic Jewish refugee from Egypt. So she was resettled in America. So I'm a second generation immigrant. And that, has always influenced and impacted what's interesting to me in terms of seeking out other experiences beyond and also within America too. And traveling internationally for me has been a really affirming and just amazing thing to do, particularly when I was in college and right after college. I think Joe's explaining some of that. Ooh, going on a ride to your ceiling.
I was looking for my pen.
Sorry. And I think Europe is such a fascinating place to start that journey because there's a lot of overlaps with America in some ways, right? We're all sort of in this traditional Western lane, and there's been a lot of reciprocal stuff back and forth about history in Europe influencing what we do here and vice versa. And so I think it's a really amazing thing, and just also to see how there are a lot of overlaps in sort of intellectual approaches, but we've taken very different governance approaches, and we've also kind of arrived at pretty different cultural ways of being in the world, right? Our drinking age is different. Our culture of eating outside versus not as different. I mean, there's just a lot of differences, and I have never been to Auschwitz either, and that's something that feels like I would like to do and feels important for me to do as somebody that is half Jewish.
I think it's important for everyone to do.
I think it's important for everyone. I do think that there is a particular narrative, right? I think Joe, you could probably attest to this, right? That it has a very significant piece of all of our collective history, but particularly if you have any Jewish heritage in you, it is something that you can't really shake as an experience that you feel like you need to have. And I think it's truly relevant for everybody and important.
And we designated the whole day to Auschwitz, so we're not going to spend the entire day there, but going there, it's really emotionally difficult, and so it's so we're going to spend the day there, go there, and then afterwards we're not going to do anything, and nothing. Unless we, we'll debrief, we'll talk about it, we'll do that, but we're not going to have some sort of excursion right afterwards, because it's really important to just leave the whole day to Auschwitz because of the impact that it may have. And a lot of people, when they do go there, it's hard. It's very difficult to be there. Nobody is happy there, and I don't even know how to describe it, honestly. It's just one of those things that you have to do in your life, and you'll never forget it. And there's certain parts of it that will be ingrained in your memory. So we'll debrief after we go. But it's important for everybody to do, because it is such a big part of our history. And
particularly with what America's facing right now, I would say, and add to that, given what we've had to reckon with our own treatment of non-white folks here, particularly our unique legacy of slavery, I think that it's really important in this historic moment that we're in to kind of reckon with what it means to oppress other folks. And you'll get a lot of that from sociology professors. That's the thing. We're steeped in this. We care a lot about this work, and we think it's important. And I really think right now, there's really no better time, despite how tough things are in America, to step outside of ourselves a little bit and get some really important perspective. And I think Poland uniquely, particularly because of Auschwitz and its role in World War II, is really well positioned to do that for us all right now. So,
and because I speak Polish, I have you'll have me as, you're lucky that I'm a professor who speaks Polish, because speaking Polish in the country is actually quite helpful. So many young people also do speak English as their second language, but many older folks don't. and Poland, in some ways, that's why Poland is different from I would say Western Europe, where Western Europe is more everybody's second language is English, and a lot of people understand English. Whereas Poland is a lot more nationalistic in that sense, where Polish is first.
Mm.
But maybe you'll probably learn a lot of words in Polish, which will be a really fun experience too.
I can't wait. I'm going to learn all these code words to talk to about my toddler around my husband with, so she doesn't understand us. It's gonna be great. And I'll also just add that when we had the opportunity to look at a bunch of different potential itineraries and travel partners to work with, and Dr. Kubik and I actually spent a good amount of time trying to narrow down one that we thought was well planned and also had good accommodations and good transportation plans and stuff like that. So we want it to be a comfortable experience where you feel like at the end of the day, whether it's been a fun day at a salt mine or a heavy day at Auschwitz, that there's comfortable, good accommodations that are located in great areas for exploring and all sorts of things. So I think you'll find your money will go pretty far in terms of having fun and going out to dinner.
And you won't need that much money.
Yeah, and you won't, and they don't cost all that much.
Yeah, I'll use this example. So there's a lot of bars, pubs in Poland, and in Krakow especially. I lived in Krakow for 2 years, and I was like in my 20s, so I could attest to that. There are a lot of these bars, and they're, I guess pubs it would be a better word, and they're like underground. They're like cave-like when you go in. So like you walk in and you go underground, and you can get a big beer, which in Polish it's called a piwo, and they only cost like $1 or $2, and and they're like 2 times the size, and they're stronger. They're much stronger than American beer. And so I don't know if anybody likes drinking here, but there you will be able to engage in that culture experience too, of having a Polish piwo if you like not only the food but also the drinks. And
what is the legal drinking age there? It's 16?
18.
Oh, 18.
18 is the legal drinking age. 18. But in general, and I think in our itinerary there's a few. I think there's a dinner that we have together that's included, and then the dinner at the end of the day, at the end of the trip, that's included, sort of like a pre and a post dinner.
Yeah.
But in general, the 3 cities that we're visiting, they're so lively. There's so much going on that you won't be hungry ever, and you'll be bored. Definitely not.